When there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them, if they need you.
Welcome to Pop Culture Justice here on Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signore, and oh my goodness, I'm so ready. Are you ready for some real talk with my man Johnny Depp? Oh, it's back for today. We are bringing back the real talk today because, oh my God, Jody, I was watching some of your live earlier. Oh, I like that you were handling this isn't, we're not trying to just gloat and gloat.
No hate, no vitriol.
It's all about the facts and being honest. But at the same time, I got to do a little bit of a victory lap with you, my man, because no one was doing this. No, I remember when we started the whole reject the Snyder cult thing together. We were fighting that army too. I at a certain point, I tapped out. I was like, it was starting to affect me.
It got hot. It got really hot and heavy, man.
And I tapped out. Jody kept going, but guys, it was brutal out there, and we were seat one, front row of the insanity that was happening during this in the movie fandom. And now, look, as I said in my previous video, I've seen a lot of nasty fandom, and there's toxicity, Star Wars, and in Marvel, and all over.
It's everywhere.
There is, but there was something about this, Jody. You know what I mean? Something about this fandom separated it from the others. Would you agree?
There's nothing quite like the Snyder cult toxic side of Zack Snyder's fandom. Star Wars, Marvel, DC has their stuff, but Andy, we both could agree that there's nothing quite like the toxicity of Zack Snyder's fan base. They are the worst, top of the chain, #1 worst fandom in pop culture existence.
Now, it's interesting because it's sort of a full circle. We're going to discuss a lot here, so it's going to be probably a longer show than typical. Yes. I may not trim some of this because I want to really break down not only the Snyder stuff, because I know some of you may not have followed that. It was 2 years ago, Jody. I was going through the playlist. Look at these videos. 2 years ago when we were starting this. And when it all first started, we were like, oh, damn, Ray Fisher slamming Joss Whedon. He's got some accusations. This must be intense. We were hearing it out. And then slowly, as the weeks proceeded, literally, I was watching some of the old videos. I think the turn really started happening when he started calling out his barber not getting credit. Do you remember that? He was
whining, yeah.
He was publicly
barber
this
in the end credits.
Oh my
Special
God,
thanks.
Crazy abuse on set. And then the first example he delivered is my barber didn't get credit on the movie. And I was like, something wasn't smelling funny. At that point I started out, did he not get paid? What do you mean? And then this army was just hitting us. And as we continued, at a certain point, Ray Fisher himself was caught watching the show.
Watching us live.
As we were sort of asking questions about what's going on here? Are we really just supposed to cancel Joss Whedon forever because you just said something blanket, broad and generalized? I don't like to just cancel people straight out. I want to hear what happened. And no one wanted to defend Joss Whedon. And it turns out, look, Joss Whedon may not have been the nicest guy on these sets.
Sure.
I was never there to be team Joss Whedon, but I was team due process of we can't just fire and have heads roll because you tell us so, Ray. It doesn't work that way. And so at a certain point, because we were the only ones really calling this out at the time, we caught Ray Fisher, the actor, watching one of our lives. He blocked us. He blocked me live, on my other account. I think it was the Popcorn Planet, which I barely used. I was scrolling through his tweets because he had blocked me on my personal. And during the live, suddenly you're blocked. There was no other way than him watching the stream and knowing and seeing the logo, doing the homework. He didn't have a rep at the time. He blocked us live, and then we knew, he's coming at us. And then he came at Jody, came at me. He started sharing lies about us, said you were homophobic, which was slandered us, defamed us. It got heavy, guys. And then we just leaned in and we refused to back down because when we started seeing the tactics firsthand of this toxic Twitter nonsense. And so that's the short
Not just
version.
that, Eddie, but the YouTube channels who were pro-Snyder, also them attacking us, them making videos about us, slandering us, and they would take the slander to an even higher level. You have one on yours, Toe, who was giving you some issues, who took stuff really far, and I had one with a mask that was taking things really far. It was really bad because all of the reporting that we were doing based off of just facts and just our own opinion, we were getting actual hate from feels like all sides of the spectrum.
Correct. And no, well said, because we were hitting it was coming at us from all sides, and it was sort of the first real story I leaned into to report on. I was doing more movies, but clearly I was more interested in sort of the justice of pop culture even back then, 2 years ago, as we were sort of going through all this, given my own backstory. And just something smelled funny, man. Something always smelled funny about the accusations Ray was peddling. Then Zach got really aggressive, and then fast forward as we went, Zach then like called out the Geeks and Gamers crew, which whatever your thoughts were, the way he did it was so shady and snaky. And,
Send them all.
and just the one groups that were literally raising money for him live on a stream, and he called him out to their face because he was trying to like save his own ass. You guys are toxic,
but I'll take your money though.
And it was another example, Jody, of just he didn't want any blood on his hands. It's like there were so many, and looking back at it now, Doctor Strange and myself, to really look back at it now, we were saying it, you were saying it, but to see this new article come out really reveals just how dark, I believe, how dark this was, and how much of a puppet master the sources and people are alleging. Now, I do want to say, before we get into it, we're going to read this down, and I also don't want to spoil this lead. I'm now in a fight on Twitter with Mr. Christopher Bouzy. Now, a lot of people have been warning me, don't get in a fight with this guy. This guy's shady. He's got a lot of, if you Google him, you'll learn a lot about his background. Look, he and his fans are already trying to like get me for my backstory. I'm trying to get to know the guy and be civil about this, but I had a tussle with this guy already on Twitter, and I'm already like red alert. This guy's not being genuine. I'd love to have a civil conversation with you, Christopher. This is the guy who runs Bot Sentinel, the firm about that basically is applying that Amber's being harassed her fans. Okay. And with the connection, the full circle moment, here he is commenting on the Snyder Cut toxicity. That's why I think it's important we do report this, and I hope you'll stick around and take this little history lesson with Jody and I, because it's all connected, guys. The more I'm realizing these bot farms, these tactics, it's all connected. So here's Boozy actually endorsing and saying, yeah, the Snyder Cut was bullshit, which is very interesting because he's also anti-Johnny. And so there are connections here that I'm still trying to uncover, but a lot of people are shocked by this story, but it happens more often than you think. PR firms that specialize in this, and it's becoming more common. Companies are now hiring research firms just to determine if the groundswell for or against something is real or fake. Now, I found the irony of Mr. Boozy chiming in on all this very ironic, given that he published a report that I felt was very biased, which I have the report in one of these tabs. Here's his Bot Sentinel report. Look, there was a lot of data in here, but his real, as I did read it, Christopher, he's basically saying like women weren't protected online, Jody, from the harassment by Johnny fans. And my whole frustration was like, women only. He's only focused on the women. But my whole thing was like, dude, Amber was attacking women and men and everybody just as much. Like, why are you only focused on this? So I responded, are you going to look into Amber's own bots too? Many, including the author of this article, which we'll get to, have reported that Amber has more bots than Johnny. What about their disgusting threats and tactics? Did you research against her too, or only for her, since she was previously a client? This is a guy who's literally paid for, a PR firm paid for by Amber to do exactly what he's calling out.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So it's like, it's all connected. It's all connected, and I think it's important. And yes, we had a back and forth, and I tried to show him some of these things. He came at me, and he showed me some of his tactics. We're going to get there. Bear with me. I want to talk a little bit first about this Snyder article and react with Jody, because it all started here, I feel like, for us together. Like, that's how we united on this on YouTube. This was sort of our big story we were hitting on weekly as more and more responses were coming as Ray Fisher came out. And the reason I think it's also connected is you got to remember, right, Jody, who cast Amber as Mira?
Zack goddamn Snyder.
Mm-hmm. He cast her not only in the Justice League, he brought her back after all the drama for the Snyder Cut.
For the Snyder Cut, you're right. He did those additional reshoots for the end of the movie.
And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be Mr. Conspiracy Theory. I'm speculating myself here, but I don't know, man. I wonder who taught Amber all these bot techniques, all this
these
toxic
online
fandom
techniques,
trickeries. It's all connected. So as we read this,
that's possible,
and we go through it, I want you to help me connect those parallels, because I don't think I'm being crazy. Do you, Jody? Like, this guy's clearly friends with Amber, clearly Team Amber, brought her back amidst all the chaos to be in that Snyder Cut reshoot. Something's fishy here, no?
Our experiences that we have covering the Snyder Cut, the Snyder Cult movement, the Snyderverse movement, all that stuff, giving a mouse a cookie, wanting a glass of milk, toxic fandom, all the abuse and death threats that we've gotten, everything is going to make sense once we get through this article. By the time we get to the bottom of this page, you're going to have a clear, exact understanding and how, now I'm going higher, how crazy this guy is. This Zach bully, mafia mentality, like self-centered, conceited, arrogant this dude is and how much of a clown Ye Fisher really is.
Now, again, I try to be as transparent as possible. I do want to mention this author, Tatiana. I've had some issues with her. And to be clear, she wrote a nasty hit piece on Johnny Depp. Total hit piece on Johnny. He's radioactive inside his self-made implosion, quoting Roberta Kaplan's nonsense, lies, etc. This is when she worked over at the Hollywood Reporter. So it is important that you guys be aware of this too, because I don't want to just like believe everything I read in an article. There are hit pieces. This was one of them. This was a piece that was very anti-Johnny at the time when that was way more popular, December 2020. To her credit, she now works for Rolling Stone, and she has written, I think, some more unbiased pieces now officially about this. Are Johnny and Amber stands for real? She did a whole piece about it, and she acknowledged in this piece, as I reported previously, that, yeah, no, Johnny's case studied this. Johnny's online fan base is overwhelmingly real. At least on Twitter. And then the bottom there, she admitted that while he's within the 5% that is typical for fake, bots, Amber's was at 10%.
Oh, that's double.
So doubled. So there were way more bots on Amber's side. So she did report that.
Fight that.
She also did more recently a report back in May that I thought was pretty good journalism, attempting to expose the connection between Amber, Elon, the ACLU. No, not a lot of people were covering this. So I'm still torn on Tatiana. Take that as you will. I'm reading this extra careful, just so you all know, and you should too, because I still don't forgive her for that original piece. But I've seen her attempt to do some decent stuff since that. It's like, take that as you will. But full transparency, I want to make sure the Johnny fans who are watching know that this is the same article writer there. But I don't know. As I read this, I feel like she brings enough stuff in here that it's hard to deny, Jody, no matter who wrote this.
If you bring facts, if you bring some evidence and facts, it's hard to really... They can add their opinion on it that you might disagree with, but so long as they make their case based in like data, facts, and reports, then you really can't hate it too much.
So I want to go through this piece, try to sort of speed read through this with you guys, so you sort of get an example of how this all works, and an example from a high-level Hollywood producer who was Team Amber from the beginning, and all those, Aquaman. He's the one who put her in Aquaman. Zack Snyder's the one who got Amber into Aquaman. So keep that in the back of the head as we're going through all this. Aquaman. I thought I still had it. I don't still have it. I'm trying to make them a drop. Aquaman.
I'm just saying, he's the one that cast her. This all started, this whole Aquaman, her getting puffed up with pride, Amber Heard feeling herself as a wannabe A-list celebrity came from Zack Snyder. He's the one that got her here.
Facts. So here we go. Zack became increasingly agitated over the course of several weeks in the spring. He repeatedly demanded the names of two producers, Jeff Johns and John Berg, be removed from his upcoming recut of the Justice League, the DC superhero that had tanked. It's important to remember, tanked back in 2017. His high-power CIA agent began calling Warner Brothers daily to check on why the pair hadn't been excised from the list of credits. Simultaneously, Snyder's wife, Deborah, another producer on the film, started pressing an executive in the studio's department with the same directive. Snyder admits the couple asked the studio to intervene after a personal plea was ignored. So they admit it. On June 26th, Snyder had enough. According to multiple sources familiar with the matter, Snyder confronted an executive in the studio's post-production department and issued a threat. Jeff and John are dragging their feet on taking their names off my cut. Now I will destroy them on social media. Now, as you eloquently posted, and they don't do it here yet, what happened immediately after that, Jody, on social media? Who stepped up to stand up to destroy them on social media, Jody?
Ye Fisher for 100.
Yes, ding, 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 ding.
Ye Fisher for 100. Thank you. 5 days later, this date, June 26th, a matter of when Zack said, I'm going to destroy you on social media, Zack didn't come out on social media and say nothing. He went into full puppet master mode. 5 days after this statement, we see the beginning of me and Andy's fight with the toxicity of the Snyder Cut. Because Ye Fisher came out and put this tweet out talking about accountability over entertainment. And he named some very unique names that are in this paragraph we just read.
Now, what's interesting is and it's you could argue the same thing happened with Johnny and with Amber. He started to get tight with YouTubers. He started to get tight with other people in this fandom. He was leaking certain things. He was getting things out. One could say it's Adam Waldman tactics to try and get stuff out there to get to the truth, right? So there was some stuff where we're just like, oh, well, I gotta believe all this. I gotta believe this. But what was frustrating to me is like Adam's not denied that. Adam hasn't denied any of that. Like, he's made it clear, and the stuff he's putting out there was evidence towards a actual criminal case, right? Like a civil case, but, you know, destroying this man's life. Here was frustrating is we never really had proof that Zack was admitting to this. But the more and more we see it, it's clear Zack didn't want blood on his hands. He wanted all this to be done. And it's like, okay, fine, then go get your justice. I don't like Warner Brothers either. Fine. But he was doing it so shadily behind the scenes, teaming up this army of aggressive, toxic people. These weren't like Justice for Johnny fans who were doing reporting like Brian Fellow or Laura B, who were civil people actually getting to truth. These were unhinged, crazy lunatics. These were people who would not back down at any point. Toxic people that were just there to fight and argue and create an army and a war to something that never even needed to happen, to some cut that no one really wanted at the end of the day. A handful of fans did, don't shoot me, but it's like nobody really cared in the scope of the world, hence why it didn't perform as well on HBO Max as Godzilla or half the other movies that actually performed, according to third-party reports. They claim to see, Jody, always, it performed the best. No, it didn't.
It didn't. All the numbers released. Godzilla did better. Shoot, the Judas and the Black Messiah did better. Wonder Woman 84 did better. Mortal Kombat did better. All of these movies on HBO Max did better. No one really cared or watched it.
So here we have, again, it seems, we're speculating, I'll be careful. It sure looks like what we thought, Jody. He's going to destroy them on social media. This exactly backs up everything we've heard. You talked to a friend of Zach's, right? Clay Enos, who basically confirmed this to you.
I approached Clay Enos on the set of a Warner Brothers production, and I said, and he was kind of boasting how he's close with Zack Snyder. He's best friends with Snyder. I'm like, oh shoot, let me take this as an opportunity to become a toxic Snyder fan. So I pretended to be a Snyder worshiper. I mean, some of the things that I said to prove myself as a Snyder fan, I will never repeat in life again. Just understand that I said some pretty disgusting things about loving Zack Snyder. So I passed, and he embraced me. He opened up his phone. He showed me photos. Him, Zack, at the wedding. He was the best man at his wedding. Yeah, me and Zack are tight. Me and Zack talk every day. This is my best friend. I was his best man at his wedding. Me and his wife are friends. Go back since high school. And this is how I feel about. I said, what's up with that Joss Whedon guy, man? I hate that he took over Justice League. Clay? And Clay was like, yeah, you know what, man? He's a scumbag. He's going down. Jeff Johns, we're going to get him out of there. Don't worry. We got something going. And he was just mentioning all these things that he hated about them and how he just knew that they were going to be fired. It's like he knew, and there was plans in place to take Jeff Johns, John Berg, Joss Whedon out. There was a plan that they had to do exactly everything that we've seen in 2020 and 2021. All of this was calculated, and it was all used. They needed a guy. The thing is, because these dudes don't want to be out in the front with it. Clay don't want to be exposed as that guy. Zack don't want to be out in the forefront doing this stuff. He's serious. He needs a Darth Vader. Who was his Darth Vader? It was Ray Fisher. George Floyd had just passed away with a terrible murder by being slain in Minneapolis. And at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, at the height where the first time in history since the Civil Rights movement with Martin Luther King and stuff, America was actually listening to what Black people had to say. So they used that specific moment in time. It just blended up perfectly, and they used Ray Fisher because he's African American, and people wanted to hear. They used him as the fall guy. They got behind Ray Fisher to be Darth Vader, and they made him go out there and just take on everything on his own and just shooting shots at everybody. Joss Whedon, Walter Amada, Jeff Johns, John Berg, just shooting. Toby Emmerich, he was really accusing people of nasty things, abuse, and all this other stuff, and never said a thing of what was actually done. I need you guys to understand. We've been doing this 2 years since he came out and said this. Still to this day, he didn't mention a single credible thing that was done that could label it abuse. Not a single goddamn thing.
That's important.
Jay Fisher was the one. He was the one that they used in order to fight this war, and that's where I learned from Clay Enos.
And he's Ray is still tweeting. People are still standing by him as the, oh my God, he's the savior, the hero, accountability over entertainment. I'm sorry, the dude never brought receipts or showed anything. It was just hearsay, and I can't stand that. I can't stand it.
Where was the accountability with Ezra Miller, right?
Exactly.
Ezra Miller legitimately choked a woman. He legitimately threw a chair at a bar and bust a lady's head open. He threw a chair at a bar in Hawaii, bust a lady's head open to where she had to have stitches. He went to another place and got mad at karaoke, was attacking people, got arrested, has a freaking weed house, has children living there, taking people from Honolulu all the way to I believe it was in Massachusetts where his house is at, on a weed farm. All of the stuff that he's done with Dakota Hazel Eyes, Iron Eyes, all the parents having to get custody, all these people saying that he was abusive, all these things that Ezra Miller has been in the news doing. And not one time did Ray Fisher or his toxic cyborg Snyder Cult movement ask for accountability over the entertainment.
Jody, they're defending him
utter
right now.
hypocrites.
I've seen a bunch of channels saying they're coming at me for not reporting on it correctly. They're defending him. They're defending him. Anyway, that's who we're dealing with. So the toxic social media movement had already been building around the director since 2018, spiking online cries to release the Snyder Cut. That's what, again, just for people who aren't movie fans, you're trying to understand this. There was a movie. It was the Justice League. It's when Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman all get together. This was supposed to be like the best movie ever. I'm sorry, DC has the best heroes, hands down. I got a Batman tattoo. Jody's got the Superman hat. All day long, DC heroes are the best. Snyder had the best figures in his arsenal, and he made the worst Batman and Superman films together. It was nonsense, and it was so dour and down. And okay, some people liked it, great, but it was a problem. Not the audience didn't like it. The general public didn't like it, and it was very expensive, and it bombed. And it bombed because anyway, we're going to get to how they released it all, but that's what we're talking about. Years later, after much fan cry, he put together his cut. We're going to get to that in a second, but just so you understand, that's what the Snyder Cut means. He was like, well, I never got to release my version of the film. It's going to be better. And oh my God, so many critics just were so scared of that movement, Jody, that they gave it way more of a pass than they should have.
Terrifying,
It is a boring movie. I don't understand the obsession. To see the critics like Dan and all, I was just like, what are you guys
all that
doing?
slow-mo, that boredom, that non-heroism,
it was
that
awful.
Stupid Wonder Woman chant, the terrible, man.
It was whatever. If you liked it,
they
good
did it
because
they were scared.
I really think a lot of people were scared, and that movie will not live in infamy like they said. It will in infamy, not out of like, oh my God, that's one of the best superhero films, only for these fans. Anyway, so they gave, long story short, boycotts, death threats. It got ugly. In fact, this is sort of this. I'm going to get to as mayhem built, many insiders question how organic the Snyderverse Legion really was, demanding this cut. According to two reports commissioned by Warner Brothers, recently obtained by Rolling Stone, at least 13% of the amounts that took place in the part of the conversation were deemed fake, well above the 3 to 5% that we just spoke about that cyber experts say typically existed. And again, even Christopher Boozy will admit, doesn't look good for the Snyder cult, okay? In public filings, Twitter has estimated that percentage daily activists is less than 5%. I think they're lying. I think Elon Musk is right. I do think Elon Musk is about to expose
I agree with Elon.
How spammy Twitter is, because it's bad.
Yep.
It is bad, guys. So while Snyder has scored scores of authentic flesh and blood fans, they do acknowledge, yes, we know there were some fans that are real, had scores of them. The real stands were amplified by a disproportionate amount of bogus accounts. Two firms contacted by Rolling Stones to track authenticity of the social media campaigns spotted inauthentic activity coming from the Snyderverse community. And yet another firm found that the ForSnyderCut.com domain, which claims to have made the hashtag that went viral in May of 2018, became the landing hub for efforts to bring Snyder back to the helm of the DC Universe. Which at least one point registered to a person who now who ran a defunct agency which promoted the ability to bring cheap, instant avatar traffic to your website. This is key. Bots. Basically, you pay us, we will get you bots, we'll get you trending, and you'll seem like you're a big deal on Twitter. It's why I always try to remind people Twitter isn't real. It's not real.
It's not.
When I went off in real life, Jody, to talk about, do you want Zack Snyder, like at Comic-Cons, to real people? Would you like Zack Snyder to like? They're like, who's Zack Snyder? Like the
like
real
we're in a
people in
bubble.
the world don't know or don't care. And I think we got even a little kicked up into it too much, like it mattered, but it didn't matter. Rolling Stone spoke with 20 people involved with both the original Justice League and Snyder Cut, most of whom believe that the director was working to manipulate the ongoing campaign. Snyder claims that if anyone was pulling strings on social media fervor, it was Warner Brothers trying to leverage my fan base to bolster subscriptions to their new streaming service. But one source maintains Zack was like Lex Luthor wreaking havoc. Now, I believe they're both telling the truth there. I believe Zack was manipulating the strings, but I also do believe Warner Brothers thought there was real people behind this. And as we'll see later, they were desperately trying to get people to subscribe, and they had nothing. We were in the middle of the pandemic.
You're right.
And then what's his name from Hulu? Jason Killar's like,
Jason Killar.
Just greenlight this thing. Look at all the fans tweeting at us. Oh my God, can we just activate it? That's what happened. Everyone wants to say that I reported on the fact that the Snyder Cut wasn't happening. It wasn't. This article is about to confirm that it literally was like a month before it happened. They're like, okay, fine, you can do it. Anyway, they go here to sort of figure out, well, what was real? They're trying to figure out this hashtag and everything else. So then someone says here, restore the Snyderverse, a fledgling fan hashtag calling for Warner Brothers to greenlight more of Snyder's DC films, racked up more than 1 million tweets in one day. Just look at the drop. Trending at 1 million tweets a day for when they wanted to release the Snyder Cut, and it dropped down to 40,000 within days, says one digital marketing executive who claims the phenomenon became the talk of Hollywood. You don't see a drop like that organically. Instead, the executive says it appears to be a classic example of weaponizing of movement. This is what I want to talk about this because this is important for us to learn, and I really think this is what they did, and you're going to see more of these, and we got to be able to learn when to decipher when it's real or when it's not. 3 months before the Snyder Cut was released, an Instagram account with the handle Denarius Illustrated posted an image, which we talked about in detail, of the decapitated heads of Johns, Walter Hamada, and Toby Emmerich. This was an image that
That's
they made.
when stuff got real.
Yeah, they were like celebrating this image of them, like their heads being hung. We're going to get them. It was sickening.
Chopped off heads in a bag.
And then, do you remember, Jody? There were channels that were like, "Yeah, you know,
promoting it. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, awesome. Cut their heads off. Fire them. Yeah, kill them.
Unbelievable."
I'm like, oh my God.
And they're still defending it. The image circulated among the fandom, and Snyderverse devotees even tagged social media accounts of some of the children of these producers. It was alarming posts that prompted Warner Media, concerned about the safety of its employees, to take the unusual step of quietly commissioning a series of reports from a third-party cybersecurity firm
Andy,
to
that's
analyze
important.
the trolling. Yep.
That's important, bro. We didn't know this, bro. This was a secret. They didn't talk about this. I remember when that head of the heads in the bag, when they first dropped, I was disgusted because they used Wonder Woman to hold them, and I was like, "Oh my God, man, this is nasty. This is sick. This is toxic." And they were like, "Yeah, this is good, man. They suck. And what we didn't know, what me and Andy didn't know at the time, is that it felt like it just like nobody just cared. Like Warner Bros., you guys don't care about this type of stuff. These are like threats. They did care. Warner Media did pay attention to those pictures.
Yep.
And then what we know now is that they launched a cybersecurity investigation into them. So you toxic fans, whoever, the person who did that image, they're the ones that sparked the clap back from Warner Media.
Which honestly, I think is why they will never and didn't restore the Snyderverse, because they were quickly realizing, oh crap, we gave the mouse a cookie, and these are some toxic rats. This is
so
not
back
a mouse.
then they knew they weren't going to restore the Snyderverse, bro. They knew way back then.
They knew they didn't realize. I think they were who they were dealing with at the time. Reports have taken a mythic status within Warner Brothers. Some doubted they existed, but a small group at the parent company did have access to them. The main report, dated April 2021, titled "Snyder Cut Social Media Presence," offers a chilling glimpse inside the powerful movement. After researching online conversations about the Snyder Cut of the Justice League's release, specifically the hashtags release the Snyder Cut, restore the Snyderverse, analysts detected an increase in negative activity created by both real and fake authors. One identified community was made up of real and fake authors that spread negative content about Warner Media for not restoring the Snyderverse. Additionally, 3 main leaders were identified with the authors scanned on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. one leader on each platform. These leaders received the highest amount of engagement and have many followers, which gives them the ability to influence public opinion. Furthermore, the report stated many authors were spreading harmful content about then Warner Brothers chairman Ann Sarnoff, who called the fan trolling reprehensible in an interview. She was one of the only ones who sort of finally commented, within the majority of the authors calling her a liar for the claim that there is no Snyder cut of the movie, and called for Warner Media to fire her. These authors also started using the hashtag boycott Warner Brothers. Another internal report found an active sub-community that was attacking Johns. Rolling Stone
and Sarnoff, real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to interrupt. And Sarnoff was the first person who actually spoke out publicly and identified them as being toxic, and then talked about the irreprehensible attitude and behavior that they had. And Sarnoff is the first person that said, we ain't gonna tolerate that. We don't condone that. The threats is not something that we represent here, and we will not have that here at Warner Brothers. And then I made that video because it was like liberating. For the first time, Andy, Warner Brothers responds and says, yo, y'all toxic and we ain't gonna run with y'all. So we ran with this, and then more hate came, because when she came on and damned them as far as their bad behavior and toxic controlling, they hated it, and they wanted Ann Sarnoff's head on a plate ever since then. That was a brave move that she did.
Like literally wanted heads on plates. It felt like it was getting that vicious at times. So they crunched all the data for months leading up to the release, looking for indications of inauthentic social media accounts. Such activity could take a number of forms, including attempts to manipulate discourse involving human-operated networks of inauthentic accounts, or the use of software to automate account posting and engagement activity, often referred to as bots. Information, anyway, says her firm's analysis indicates there's no question that bots were involved. There are certain patterns that bots give off that we saw here. They arrive at almost the same time in huge numbers, and many times the origin of thousands or even millions of messages can be traced to a single source or two. Sometimes they can be traced to unusual servers in remote countries, and their content will be precisely similar. That means...
Are you guys understanding that real quick, guys? That means that everything that you've seen in defense for Amber Heard could come from just two sources. You could have two locations with a couple of computers in there, and all of a sudden you got 1 million accounts tweeting a certain hashtag. That's how easy it is to become on trending on Twitter.
Yep. Trending on Twitter is so manipulated and full of crap.
Yes.
Does anybody...
That's why Elon want to back out, man.
Correct.
I don't fault him.
It's complete nonsense. That means a fandom amplified by fake accounts can help shake down a major studio at an ultimate cost to Warner Brothers of more than $100 million to re-release a movie that had already bombed years earlier. I love that she did not hold back any punches on this. She does have some bias here because they came at her at one point. But it is incredibly important. Sometimes these are traced to unusual servers, remote countries. Content's all precisely similar. That's how they were able to have 1 million tweets in a day and say, see, the fan base wants it. No, it wasn't real. It wasn't real. You guys weren't real, and they won't admit it. They'll never admit that part. This has nothing to do with Zack also. I've seen like Film Junkie and other people. It's very funny, Jody. Maybe we'll watch them reacting to this article, like trying to downplay it.
That's funny.
It's real funny.
Oh, seeing those fools do that is
and
so
it's just
funny.
like, guys, I'm sorry. How do you dispute this?
They'll find a way.
I guess
they will find a way.
The implication is Rolling Stone's faking the reports, I guess.
Yes,
I don't,
fake article.
The whole article's fake.
Fake sources, fake testimony,
fake.
fake data, fake.
Campaign. I know there's a lot of fake media, don't get me wrong, but it's not all fake. You got to sort of read between the lines at some point. The campaign didn't end with March 18th of the Snyder Cut. The Wrap reported in May that bots may have factored in Snyder winning 2 fan favorite awards at the year's Oscars. We did report on that on one of our lives.
Yes.
There was basically like, you vote, and of course they took over that as well, which they confirm here. Chandra downplays the effectiveness of the unauthentic activity, noting that many of those accounts are spammy and failed to cut through the noise, but he says it's clear that there is some manipulation occurring. The bulk of this activity was made up of real and passionate users taking directions from influential figures in pro-Snyder communities. So he's saying there was some legitimate people trying to, keep this going.
Yeah.
We regularly see these types of universal social media campaigns that are driven by real people coordinating online. When you kick the hornet's nest of a large and engaged and confrontational fan community, that can be just as, if not more, scary as facing down an army of fake accounts. Well, we learned that the hard way when it was a combination of all of it. Every superhero tale needs an origin. And the groundwork for the Snyderverse was... So this is interesting. We're going to go back and now actually learn how it all happened. So this is a little movie nerdery, so bear with us, but I think it's important because it also just verifies a lot of our reporting, Jody. He was hired by, so Snyder denies it, but one source tells Rolling Stone the director hired a digital marketing firm to juice fan engagement back in 2016 when his $250 million film, Batman v Superman, was savaged by critics. It got 29% of Rotten Tomatoes, disappointed Warner Brothers brass, as well as DC fans. The movie took in $874 million. A DC standalone like The Joker, by comparison, cost $70 million and earned $1 billion, over $1 billion. His was $250 million budget, made $874. It made some money, but not nearly what a Batman v Superman movie should have done at the box office. On February 27th, Snyder showed his first cut of the much-anticipated Justice League. It was supposed to be the answer to the Avengers, which earned $1.5 billion 5 years earlier, directed by Joss Whedon. Executives headed up at the time by Kevin Juzahora felt the film had major issues, including that it was convoluted, still too long, more than 2.5 hours. The movie was deemed a disaster and a full-on failure by those in the room, and as a result, the studio pivoted and enlisted Joss Whedon to come on as a writer and consultant, according to multiple knowledgeable sources. Yes, Jody, do you have something to add?
Yes. I'll just put my hand up when I want to. God, Andy, bro, he put his own money up to hype up BVS to counteract the bad Rotten Tomatoes. Yep. You paid a media firm to bolster out of your own pocket to bolster your own movie BVS because the world hate. Can you think about that? I just learned that. This article gave me that nugget. So this just showing precedents for later in the article, ladies and gentlemen. He paid money in 2016 to bolster awareness and hype up his own movie that was being panned in 2016 for BVS. I wonder if he'll ever do that again.
I wonder. So it was a humiliating turn for Snyder, who had once been trusted with creating the architect for the DC universe, including Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash. 9 days later, Snyder presented another cut to a smaller group. It was still over 2 hours. Whedon allegedly gave notes that Snyder wasn't receptive to. Then in mid-March of 2017, Snyder, a father of 8, endured the unthinkable when a tragedy when his 20-year-old daughter died. The true tragedy, and definitely complicates the story a bit. I understand. For a lot of time, I've given Snyder a pass because I'm like, well, I can't even imagine that loss and the frustration at the company and how they treated him.
He weaponized it.
But exactly, at a certain point, he used it in a way that I just feel like it's not okay no matter what happened. It's not okay, dude. What you did and the heads you needed to roll over a movie that just didn't perform the way it should have, that's not how we're supposed to be, man. I can't endorse it. So while that happened, I didn't know this either. He was still working on the cut. The film had Whedon operating on a separate track to lighten the supertone. On May 5th, after the tragedy, he screened his final version in the Burbank lot, clocked in at 2 hours and 18 minutes, and the source familiar called the cut unwatchable and joyless. Meanwhile, Whedon, the creator of Buffy, was prepping to direct reshoots in the summer that the film could make its November release date. None of the backstage drama surrounding Whedon's hiring had surfaced in the press at that time.
Just to catch you up, BVS sucked, guys. Batman vs Superman, it sucked. Warner Brothers was like, oh my God. I thought you were going to be the Kevin Feige for us over here at DC. What the heck is going on? Warner Brothers was alerted to, oh my goodness, maybe you're not the guy. So Correct. They had their eye on him. So then he went and does his sophomore film, his third film, Justice League, and he's giving them a rough cut like, yo, here's what I got, Warner Brothers. He put some executives in a room and he shows them this cut of the movie, and they said they hated it, and they're like, oh my God, this guy's doing it again, what the heck? And then we're going to proceed, and we're going to see that Zack is going to show them another cut with Joss's cuts, and then another cut, all of which Warner Brothers doesn't like.
Sorry, as I spilled my water. But yes, thank you for that recap. That is another key point of all of this. So he shows this new cut. It bombs. Right? It bombs.
Hated it.
Snyder announces then after that because announces the news of his daughter's death and exits the Justice League. Now, again, I don't know if that was really his own doing, if that was a mutual doing at that point.
It was not. Yeah, they fired him. They
It's
used that to fire him.
Who knows? But yes, it seems like it's connected clearly. Deborah also said she was taking a break to focus on healing. Honestly, they should have and should. That's a loss I can't even imagine, and we're not here to criticize or try to mock that in any way. That's an important part of the story, but doesn't excuse later behavior. So they left. They're having a hard time. They left the movie. That's when then they did the reshoots. They got all the cast back with Joss Whedon, and the film then is reshot. It comes out in November, and the film is still a disaster. Joss Whedon didn't really fix. Let's be honest, he didn't fix it. He didn't fix it. I don't like Joss Whedon.
But he did an amazing job, though.
Both cuts suck.
He did an amazing job of what he had at
what
editing
he had,
that
sure,
bad boy.
he tried his best with what the
He put a tone in there.
was. Had he directed it himself, I think it would have been a better movie, like from the beginning.
Absolutely.
But given the pieces he had to do, anyway, it was a mashup of Snyder's brooding, violent R-rated version with Whedon's campy PG-13 incarnation. The film's $658 global haul was an embarrassment, given its $300 million budget. That is really bad, guys. By contrast, the DC standalone Wonder Woman made $165 million more, but with half the budget. So
that same year.
Really, really big embarrassment. But again, blame who's really to blame? I wish they just would have released Snyder's cut and just let it go, so we could have seen how that one really did. We'll never know. Yeah. But I think they both would have failed.
But we know it would have done well. You can't have a 3-hour movie and expect a lot of theater showings. Like
Correct.
That would have hurt it. And plus the critics would have hated that movie too. They would have hated it just as much as BVS.
So he was supposed to be the architect for the whole DC universe, like Kevin Feige is at Marvel, as Jody said. He cast Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Ezra Miller as The Flash, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, Ray Fisher as Cyborg, and Amber Heard as Mera. Again, important. This is all connected. He was also a producer on Suicide Squad and some other stuff. Studio was looking to take the universe approach, but they wanted to then make plans to replace both Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. Did he not? He did cast Henry too, right? They didn't mention him, interestingly enough.
Yeah, he did.
Around this time, sources say Snyder sent one of his editors to the studio to retrieve hard drives that contained materials for the film. Snyder was asked to return them, considering they were studio property. He balked. He then was contractually entitled to those. He says he was contractually obligated to those files, that the materials were for his personal use, and that he was not asked to return them at any point. Okay. Security was notified, sources say, but no action was taken. No one expected Snyder to be tinkering with an alternate cut of the film. But that's important. He went against the rules. He took the content. Clearly, Warner Brothers like, whatever, let him have his stupid cut. It's not if he
wasn't allowed on the lot. He sent the editor to take that footage, bro. I've been saying it back then, man. They didn't want you on the lot. He was confident. He was so unconfident. He sent the editor to the studios to take the cut. And the Warner Brothers said, yo, that's our property. Get that back. But Zack said, no, it's going to be for my personal collection. Little did they know that he was going to go shoot some scenes in his backyard, try to make a cut, go on the internet and say that I have a cut, and do all this fiasco, creating this toxic movement. Warner Brothers, if they had hindsight, they never would have let him have that footage. But they just said, all right, you want to put it in your laptop for your personal files.
We're knocking Zach. I'm not here to support Warner either. Warner Brothers has made terrible decisions.
They made some mistakes.
Real big mistakes throughout the year.
Especially
not only with Johnny,
but
with DC and a lot of things. DC, the issue is like everybody's, Warner Brothers is sort of getting reset because now it's Discovery Warner Brothers, and we'll see how the new sort of brass takes over. But Warner Brothers was basically just exploded and now is starting over. So all this stuff sort of it doesn't matter, but it's good to just know our history, where this all came from. So at that point, after he stole the cut so he could sort of have it on his own, it's this telling that around that same time for SnyderCut.com starts to debut. You know, their hashtag release the Snyder Cut goes viral. It seems very clear that this guy must have had a plan, right? An agenda from the beginning. Go get my cut. Oh, and by the way, let's start having these things start going viral. Dude, that doesn't happen by accident. This was clearly all calculated. Now they say,
what director does this?
Yeah, and they say, look, they don't know who's behind the site. 4 participants are listed, and it's developers. including founder in China, Fiona Zhang. Site was originally registered using a privacy service in December 2017, but web registration records show that during a brief lapse in the privacy protection from mid-March to mid-October of last year, a digital marketing consultant named Xavier Lannis was listed as the registrant of the for SnyderCut.com. Social media analysis firm Athelea tells Rolling Stones it's highly unlikely that ownership changed hands before or after that period. LinkedIn account for Lanz, who's not mentioned on the Snyder Cut, identifies him as a CEO of a Los Angeles-based digital ad firm called My Agency. The website is no longer active, but an archived version of the site touts services such as bringing cheap instant avatar traffic to your website. The agency boasted, "We use the latest technology concentrated in the palm of your customers' hands to grow your business beyond your wildest dreams." Huh. Interesting, Jody. Snyder denies knowing or even hiring Lanos. Lanos did not respond to a request for comment. Zhang, meanwhile, despite prolific tweeting about Snyder from about 2016 up until the Snyder Cut's release, has posted just twice since then. She's disappeared. She's now no longer answering questions. All of this is starting to look pretty sus, Jody. What do you think?
This is suspect. So that's the same type of agency motto that was used before that we talked about in the article earlier. And Zach, as soon as you get your cut, this site gets big and so happens to use an ad agency that could spam a whole lot of things out in the open. Release the Snyder Cut movement was pretty darn big around this time, wasn't it? That hashtag started right around this time too. Is it reaching to say that maybe Zack Snyder was disgruntled that his film was cut and Joss Whedon released it, and his disgruntledness made him ask the editor, "All right, look, you go in there to Warner Brothers because, you know, they see me, they're going to have security following me, cameras on me. So you go in there, just grab the cut, bring it to me. And then, now I'm going to start this and I'm going to make my movement, release the Snyder Cut, put my own money behind it, and then pay to get this thing started, and then use random fans and use them as the face of starting the movement, crediting them, when in actuality, maybe Zack Snyder is the puppet master behind this entire thing." I am implying, yes, I am implying, based off of what seems to be clear evidence, that the release, the Snyder Cut hashtag, was funded and created by the director of the goddamn movie, Zack Snyder. This is crazy.
Yeah, I don't think you're grasping. I don't think you're grasping at all. This is all very sus to me.
Insane.
Suspect. Over the 2 years following disappointing bow, Warner Brothers faced changes. In June 2018, AT&T closed an $85 billion deal to acquire Time Warner. They took over. Sarnoff replaced the Kevin, who then had some bad stuff came out about him. Fandom continued to call for the studio to greenlight the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut, change.org petitions, etc. Former DC Entertainment President Diane Nelson deleted her Twitter account after Snyderverse targeted her for merely praising Todd Phillips' Joker, a film that existed outside of the canon. The levels that this fan base would go to was atrocious, and no one wanted to even attempt to stop it. That's what's really important, I think, about all this, because we were out there, Jody. And granted,
all the way
it's like, well, Zack's not responsible for some, blah, blah, blah. But Zack's responsible for saying nothing. When this continued to happen after and after, accountability in entertainment doesn't mean you can just harass until you get what you want. This fan base was brutal. And still to this day, they're coming at me now. I'll show you some of the responses I'm already getting got again, even though I've tried to block most of those trolls out of my account. There's still some out there. And it's ugly what they were allowing. I'm sorry, I wouldn't have been able to go and just sit quietly as all this shit was happening. It was too ugly. And Zack could have easily changed stuff, and he didn't. He's even going to be asked about in this article, and he refuses to acknowledge the negative parts and only wants to focus on the positive parts. But I'm sorry, dude. There was a lot of negative that you need to account for here. This is another interesting part, Jody. Pricey publicity stunts ensued. Towering Times Square ads, which can cost $50,000 a day. A plane over Comic-Con with a banner calling for DC to release the cut. None of the press reports at the time addressed who was footing the bill. Where was this fundraiser? Why didn't we ever see a Kickstarter from the fans who became skeptical of the grassroots nature of the Snyderverse movement? Those are high marketing cost endeavors. 100%. Jody, who funded this?
Who put the money up? Who has the ability to pay $50,000 a day to fly the plane over all this organization? I ain't seen no change.org. I ain't seen no freaking GoFundMe's.
It's weird though,
Where's
right? Because
the money at?
Zach, didn't you remind us earlier? Didn't Zach fund his own PR firm to look into the bomb of a release of the film?
Yeah, he did. He paid money back in 2016 to hype up BVS.
Wait, weird. You think that same guy might resort to secretly funding big guerrilla initiatives to make it seem like a grassroots campaign? No, right? That's a stretch, no?
Man, well, call me Susan. I must be crazy. This motherfucker, bro. I must be crazy because this shit making too much sense to me, player.
Oh no,
Bro.
it's just a random person on Twitter who was a fan. Oh no, this is lying report. Guys, this isn't lying reporting. That Times Square ad was real. The plane was real. We saw it with our own eyes.
I've seen it.
Who funded it?
Who paid for
funded
that?
it? You'd think that'd be a pretty important thing to figure out.
You know that would have been all over Twitter.
Lewis was just
About the fun?
Pop in, Lewis. You're welcome to join. Vero was funding it. Oh, interesting. That could be other angle. Because Vero, don't forget, all while Zach was doing this, he was funding his own social media platform, Jody. Let's not forget that. Vero.com with Zach like constantly using the movement on Twitter, etc., to create his own network as well, where he would, try to get cinema fans to come play on Vero. Oh my God, there's so many connections here and motives that, of course, point to Zach and this huge fan base. He realized, I got this base. Why don't I do it on my own social network too, so I can grow that up and try to make some money there too? This was all part of the plan. I'm sorry, I buy it. This makes total sense.
I buy it. I'm buying hands down. I put all the money. I put all $11 in my left pocket, and this golden dollar right here on my table that I've been saving for the last 6 months, on the fact that this fool Snyder went straight to that bank account of his and paid for all of this. That's exactly how stuff can fly under the radar. When one man can just do a debt transfer and get this paid for, bro. This dude is insane. This man started from beginning to end with this thing being behind the scenes on some Dark Sidious evil Sith Lord type of stuff. Mind you, Yay Fisher's the Darth Vader. He out there waving his red lightsaber, just pointing at everybody with no facts. He out there with a lightsaber with no force. And meanwhile, Snyder's out here on his city. Good. I will pay the billboards and I will pay for the flying plane above. You do your job and put the tweets out on Twitter.
Oh my God. Jody, I had to verify this before I shared it with you. Speaking of Vero, this is Zach's response to the hit piece. You ready? If I advance, follow me. If I retreat, kill me. If I die, avenge me.
Oh my God. Once again,
God,
fans,
on Vero,
fans, if I take an L, make sure you call up your arms and avenge me.
This is like remember when Jussie Smollett was like, "I'm not suicidal."
I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal.
Oh
Something
man, I
happens to
can't
me
wait.
in there.
Ray Fisher needs to do the Jussie movie more than ever now.
This is insane, bro. You know what this
My
is? This
God.
is once again, this is him capping to his fan base.
Yep.
If this goes bad, avenge me. Keep fighting the good fight.
Toxic. Guys, this is scary
Yes,
shit.
toxic.
You may not have followed the story, you may not care about Justice League, but this is an important one to remember and why we covered the song. This is scary, toxic shit.
Yeah.
This is I will never back down. You have to kill me. And if
even after I die, I got a
die,
group.
you still keep going. Dude,
damn.
this dude is unhinged. I can't believe we
man.
caught this. Oh my God. Jody. Oh my God. I'm just I'm shook by the level
think about it though. Really think about it. He was Kevin Feige for DC, and it was stripped away like the powers of the Black Panther. He feels like having power like that and then not having it, it's gotta feel some type of way. But to do all this that you've been doing, Zach, to come to this far with it, bro, you really got some. You're a man, dude. You're so arrogant and big-headed, dog. Like, I thought I had issues. Sometimes I think I'm right when I'm wrong.
Exactly. I can be stubborn too, but oh my God, this guy is dying on the hill. If I retreat, kill me. If I die, avenge me. Oh my goodness.
Again, he's a cult leader.
He's promoting the digital. This all happened during their digital release of the Snyder Cut, I guess, getting available. Yeah. Which was, I guess, in the hand, and so some fans are like, of course they're doing it now.
Nobody cares about that. They're doing it before Comic-Con.
Why would I buy the digital version? There's already a Blu-ray. It's already on HBO Max. Who the hell needs to buy the digital? Who cares? Stupid.
I can watch it for free on my streaming HBO Max, man. Why the heck would I buy it? Ain't number 12 people gonna buy that.
I want a physical copy, or I can stream it. Who wants to buy the digital? Idiots. Half the time you buy those digital copies, you don't even own it. Look it up on Amazon. You don't own your digital copies. It expires.
They take it off.
It's like
they take it out the library. It's gone.
I don't want to buy no digital copies ever. That's insane. I'll take a digital copy for free with my physical copy. But idiots.
Hey, Jody, what did you buy today? Oh, I bought a hamburger combo. What you buy today? I bought the digital copy to Zack Snyder's Justice League.
All right, man. You enjoy that.
All right, go ahead, bro. Came out 2 years ago.
Oh my God. So anyway, who funded it? I don't know who funded it. Whatever role he may or not have played in the Snyder Cut publicity blitz at the close of 2019, Snyder sent his disciples into overdrive when he posted a picture of film canisters labeled the running time, JL Director's Cut, running time 2:14 minutes. Running over the picture with the words, "Is it real? Does it exist? Of course it does." One insider scoffed at the post. He refused to return the hard drives, which were studio property. This was just more orchestrated bullshit from Zack. So again, proving this was all the plan all along. I'm going to torch them. I'm going to destroy you on social media.
Scorched earth.
The fandom, which has been dubbed toxic by such outlets as Vanity Fair, Fox, Jody's Corner, Popcorn Planet, it has far more in common with abusive right-wing campaigns like Gamergate, with those most game-stream geek culture, continuing to push, and Snyder began negotiations with Warner Brothers on a Justice League redo in January 2020. The plan was to release his cut on the in-development HBO Max streaming platform. Sources say the director insisted no new footage would be needed. Because it exists, right, Jody? Why would new footage be needed if it exists?
You just pull it out and put it in press play.
Put it online. Okay, you can do a color
correct,
a cut. Fine. New sound mix. Okay, couple effects. Great. Understood, but it exists, right? So finish it off and go push it out.
Why do you need to shoot new scenes?
Why is it now 5 hours long? Exactly.
Why do you need $60 million extra and then another $13 million? Why?
So the Snyder Cut exists, remember? But then it didn't. He would need nothing. He then screened the 214-minute version at home right before the March 2, 2020 lockdown. HBO Max greenlit the project, a move signed off by New Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar. So important to notice here, because when I did my report right before then or around then, saying that Warner Brothers wanted nothing to do with the Snyder Cut and had no plans to release it, I was telling the truth. Warner Brothers wanted nothing to do with Zack Snyder's Cut. They were never planning to release it. AT&T... HBO Max executive Bob Greenlight, along with AT&T,
Jason Kilar,
they're the ones who were quietly talking to Zack, literally right before the announcement, is what's also revealing here. Not like the previous year or before. No, right before, as COVID's lockdown happening, they're like, shit, we need content. Okay, you can do it. You don't need new footage. Okay, fine, we'll release it. That's important to remember. That's finally revealed, and it finally justifies my reporting. I was not wrong. Everyone wants to keep telling me I was wrong. No, my sources were wrong, and I admitted it. But my God, I was so sick of that.
No, their sources were actually right, because even Warner Brothers didn't intend to release it. AT&T went over them, and then made that happen. So even Warner Brothers was like, "No, we ain't doing it." But AT&T said, "Yo, put this thing out."
The bottom line was everyone was shocked. Everyone was shocked.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so company
stunning.
officially announced on May 20th with Green Black noting, since I got here 14 months ago, the chant to release the Snyder Cut has been a daily drumbeat in our offices and inboxes. Well, the fans have asked, and we are thrilled to finally deliver. Silicon Valley Trans. I love this little shot at Killar too. He raised eyebrows internally when he initially floated the unconventional idea of announcing Snyder Cut from his own Twitter account and having the director flown to Dallas to address the board. I guess Killar wanted to get all that sweet social media juice, but they were more. They became concerned the CEO was publicly bantering with Snyder on Twitter, was told that Snyder was in possession of studio property, and they say he simply shrugged it off. Killar says he never had the remotest thought to fly to Texas, and says he would never shrug off someone having studio property. Notice he didn't shrug off the idea if he wanted to be the one to announce that he greenlit the cut. Everyone that clearly AT&T was just like, oh, I just want to take advantage of this audience that I think is real when it wasn't. Still, Snyder wasn't satisfied. As Johns and Berg's name remained on the project, sources say the director blamed the pair for his losing control of the DC universe when they replaced him to run the portfolio of heroes back in 2016. 4 months of fan siege. After 4 months of a fan siege targeting Johns and Berg, they were quietly removed from the credits. Snyder notes that neither he nor his wife have ever said anything negative about Jeff Johns or John Berg on social media or interviews. Now, here's the denial. Right? This is the denial from Zack Snyder. I didn't say it. Ray Fisher said it. You notice that?
Ray Fisher's the guy.
I didn't say it.
Our puppet.
Did your
Hey,
puppet
I'm just
say
holding
it?
the strings. I'm holding the strings. He the one dancing, chucking, and jiving down there. Don't get mad at me. I'm just, you know what I'm saying, exercising my finger muscles.
Just because, and I notice it also doesn't say that he said it privately. He says, I've never said anything negative on social media or in interviews. That's not a denial.
Because we
guys.
both know early in the article, he went down to the room and said, hey, you know, they're dragging their feet. Get off my cut. And they even said that Deborah went and confronted somebody and asked, what's up with these guys still on our cut? Let's get them off. So we see the intent, and we see the malice, and we see, more importantly than that, we see the lies. A lot of lies and deceit here to cover up the truth. That this article is just revealing. This Rolling Stone article is fire, my guy. It's
unreal. So again, not denying it, and he says this was not the movie. He just wanted their names removed because it's not the movie they believed in, developed, or helped us get made. Dude, you had a vendetta against them, and you were clearly talking about it in private, and you were clearly sicking your friends to torch them on social media. You're not denying it. Easy comment, Zach. I never said that. This lie about me in the post-production room, it's a lie. Notice, Zach's commenting on this article and not denying. I don't know about you, Jody. If someone was trying to publish a defamatory statement that I never said, that'd be the first thing out of my mouth. Said, that's a lie.
Facts.
Show me
Easy.
who said that. I never said that. He knows he said it.
Yep.
And then people are going to try to shrug it off, but it's clear he did not deny it. That's huge. And the Snyder Army is going to just keep trying to gloss over that with you. Again, this has nothing to do with the reporter. I don't love this reporter either. But oh my God, he's in the article responding to things, and he's not denying it. He's not denying it. He's doing a little walk around. Killar agreed to give Snyder $60 million for post-production and special effects. That figure marked a significant bump from initial reports that said it was going to be around 20 to 30. They dropped another 60. Oh, but it's going to get worse. The studio didn't know at the time was Snyder had already shot footage in his backyard at the height of the pandemic. He did a rogue shoot without COVID protocols or union guidelines. He acknowledges that he did 2 shoots, but then says, oh, well, there were whatever. I'm sure.
Only one was done. One was done without Warner Brothers, and one was done knowing that Warner Brothers.
So he says, who knows? I don't believe a word this man says anymore.
Exactly.
Snyder wanted an additional $13 million to cover additional production costs. Sarnoff pushed back as extra footage was not part of the deal. Good for you, Ans.
Yes.
Hold your ground. Meanwhile, Snyder controversy had begun spinning in new directions. Fisher, an actor, now we're getting to Ray Fisher's part, who had been plucked from obscurity to play Cyborg, started speaking out against Whedon, the director who'd been hired to replace Snyder. Joss Whedon's on-set direct treatment of the cast and crew was gross, abusive, unprofessional, completely unacceptable, Fisher tweeted. He added, bringing Snyder's alleged threat regarding the one-time colleagues to fruition 5 days after Snyder made his final push to have the pair removed. He was enabled in many ways by Jeff Johns and John Berg. Nearly all the insiders interviewed by Rolling Stone said they believe Fisher and Snyder were working in tandem based on Fisher's tweets coming directly on the heels of Snyder's behind-the-scenes demands. Snyder calls the allegations totally untrue. Fisher declined comment to Rolling Stone. Now you want the real juice here, Jody? You want to catch Ray Fisher in a lie?
Lies. Oh my!
Here's Ray Fisher's response. Tatiana needs to amend this article immediately. Neither myself nor anyone on my team ever declined to comment to Rolling Stone. Furthermore, this type of rumor mill reporting is offensive, dangerous, and willfully evasive of the fact. You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting? Here's the editor-in-chief of Rolling Stone, Jody.
Oh no!
Here are one of several emails Rolling Stone sent to Rep.
Call it 4K! Oh! Oh!
Oh, Ray!
Clicking on this one, let's have a 5 p.m. delay pass story. He's posting tonight.
Here
I
it
will get
is.
something back from you. See? Oh! Oh!
I was excited to show that to you. Oh, what was that again, Ray? What was that again?
Oh my
you liar!
God!
You're caught again! How many times
You're
now? have we
trash!
tried?
This lying motherfreaker, bro. What did he
Oh,
respond?
but let's stand with Ray Fisher. I stand with him. Here you had
I stand with Ray, huh?
You had a whole day. You had Monday. I guess they didn't give him a lot of time, but this was on this Sunday. They wrote him Sunday at 5. They wrote
And that's
his
just
reps.
one last time. They mean they did it
They
before
wrote
that.
Sunday. Here it is. The date 7th. Hey, I'm writing a story that examines fan base attacking all these people. I'd like to request a comment from Ray regarding the following. Sources believe, this is the part we just read, that you worked in tandem with Zack Snyder to weaponize the Snyder Cut fandom, and they say that you did not help to get what you wanted from Warner Brothers. How do you respond?
Let's go.
And then a whole day later, before the article was published, that was 24 hours he and his reps, all of Monday, he and his reps had time to respond. Hello, checking in on this. Since it's 5 p.m. deadline passed, the story is posting tonight. If I don't get something back from you soon, I will have to say, Fisher declined comment. Let me know. Boom! Ray, you had time. Sorry if you were on the shitter or I don't know where you were. Your reps didn't get you, but you just lied again. You literally just got caught lying. Look at this. Look at this fool. I can't even begin.
Caught in 4K.
Need to amend this article. Neither myself nor anyone on my team ever declined to comment. Sorry,
This article
you did not give a comment. You did not give a comment. You had a whole day, Ray. They just caught you in 4K. They need to amend the article immediately. Blah, blah, blah. This is what Ray's been doing for years.
Yes,
with
mind
no
you guys, to
evidence.
give you guys a little history, he got a guy fired from, what was it, Forbes? He got someone fired from Forbes for trying to give them information that was proven wrong. Joss Whedon pulled a Uno reverse card and got the writer fired. And it was Ray Fisher that made this man lose his job because he's trying to get people to amend articles and putting false information and giving false statements of harassment.
And I gotta get your back.
Slander.
He tried to call you a homophobe. Because
he called me a homophobe.
We called him Yay Fisher because we were comparing him to Kanye with all his crazy tactics.
Yes.
With Yay Fisher.
Yes.
And then Ray got his own army of Larry Birds and everybody else out there trying to say, well, no, you're saying Gay Fisher. And I was just like, we were being gaslit by this fan base. Like, no, I was there, guys. He didn't say Gay Fisher. He said Yay Fisher because I was there during the whole stream.
We were live. Yes. We were live talking about the entire situation. You had a Kanye topic. And then somehow the commentary came where I said, oh, he's acting Yay Fisher. And then some of the Snyder cult took my voice clip and then lied and said that I said Gay Fisher, sent it to Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher said that I'm homophobic for saying something that I didn't say. And then that's when people were like piling on me, trash Jay Washington, garbage sauce, Roca, them talking trash about us, went at them, ethered them, you know what I'm saying? And really had to defend myself to the point where, you know, they thought they were going to cancel me off of YouTube. It was never a problem, but I could see the amount of hate that was directed towards me and Andy, and it could make people quit. It would make a lesser person shut down YouTube, shut down Twitter, just completely go dark. But not me. You know, I'm Army Strong out here, bro.
I'm trying to find the report. They're there, but he went after Jody. He literally called us out. And then he went after me using some scumbag who was just trying to make me call out my past allegations. Ray
While
was
watching
taunting
us
us
live, by the way.
Yeah. He was taunting us, is what he was doing, and then he was defaming us by putting out bullshit about us, and that's when we really knew, okay, well, this guy's full of crap. But again, who gets?
And then I made
how
a
do you
video
get caught
at the end
better
of
than
Jody's
this?
Quarter.
How do you get caught better than this? This is like
that's sweet.
it's like
God damn.
Yeah, and exactly, way to prove their point. It's like he's just lying, and beyond that, what's even so gross about Ray is this whole article is talking about all the stuff here. He did another response we can do. Look at this exclusive. Waning reporter Tatiana fails to overshadow digital release of Snyder Cut with contrived hit piece. Warner Brothers mourns. Sources say reporter still butthurt after being called out in the lies. We're going to learn about this in a second, but I want you to remember he's literally proving her point. He tagged her and is now sicking his Borg life minions to go attack her again. Yep. That's what Ray Fisher's doing. This is accountability over entertainment. Him bullying and attacking her with toxic fan base online. He's just going to continue to do it. And I haven't seen this latest. Nice try, but you cropped out the part of the emails where Tatiana switched deadlines on my team. Trying to spin half-furnished emails into gotcha will get you nowhere, Noah. Rolling Stone, please rein in your employees. This is embarrassing. First of all, he's the editor-in-chief, so learn your shit. If you get me a response by deadline tomorrow at 6. Okay, so he's arguing over an hour. This gotcha. You have to tell us by 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Checking this since the 5 p.m. This is his got you back? Oh, my God. Dude, the article published after 6 and after 5. You could still give a comment. It's the morning. I'm sorry, Jody. Is it the next day? Could Ray have given this comment at any point within that hour?
Yeah, that's wild to me, bro. We're dealing with insanity at this point. Y'all are
this is his response. Look at this. Get response by tomorrow at 6. You changed the deadline, so now I will not comment. You changed it an hour early.
So now I can't give you a comment because you changed that time. And little do you let me. You prove this. You've proved that you've seen the email by doing this.
I know
because you
did know exactly. You did know. You did get the email.
Your one out was, dang, I didn't check my email, man. You didn't give me a chance to see this.
Joe, we were waiting for that. I thought we had till 6. And again, just checking on this last time because the 5 p.m. deadline passed. Oh, my God, if the story is posting tonight, if I don't get something back from you soon, I will have to say Fisher declined. Okay, that was at 5:12. You had till 6. You had 40 minutes. The article wasn't published at 6, Ray. Look at his spin. You're spinning half-furnished emails into a gotcha. Rolling Stone, rein your employees in. This is embarrassing and amateurish. This is who we're dealing with. You wonder why we were so leaning in and not trusting this guy. People following this guy, you are bozos.
Y'all are straight clowns, bro. Bozo, moronic, incorrigible, childish, weak-minded. You got to be mentally ill to follow this type of stuff, to back somebody who lie like that. The boy who cried wolf strikes again, man. This is fun. Like this is fun. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, no, it's usually sometimes it's just stressful, but I'm having such a blast. We're both moved on. First time. We're in good places in our lives. People thought we still wouldn't be here, Jody. They tried to tear us down, but here we are, kings, looking down like we told you, bozos.
Told you, motherfuckers. We told you, motherfuckers, bro.
Tried to warn you all. It is what it is. So here it is going in. Ray's going off on the treatment, but never really got into it. Now Gail did come forward and it sort of echoed, and the fan base used this, and it didn't help.
Yeah, Josh Whedon was definitely toxic, sure.
And said, "Look, he threatened my career."
Yep.
And then I do believe Ray used Charisma Carpenter. I do think he used her story, which I believed actually more than Ray ever. Ray was like basically trying to get Charisma, like, yo, come up and expose Joss because I got nothing. I related that when my accuser April was coming out, like she got nothing. Hey, let me try to see if I can find somebody with something so Joss gets removed. Again, it just proves there was a vendetta to get rid of him at all costs, not actual allegations that Ray was saying. He was desperately trying to find anybody he could to just have these heads roll on behalf of Zack. Let's not forget, all this distraction, all of this on bequest to Zack Snyder, who's his ringleader, the string puller. I'm sorry, I don't know how else to see this any other way. But then he brought in Charisma Carpenter, and honestly, it was Charisma Carpenter in the cast of Buffy who slayed and buried Joss Whedon. When all that came out, it was like, well, damn, dude, this doesn't look good, Joss, because they came with actual stories and explain the behavior, and it was different, and it had nothing to do with Ray Fisher or Justice League, completely separate. But it had to do with the filmmaker who clearly didn't get along with Gal, made some offhand mean comment, and didn't treat her well, and then apparently was not treating his cast of Buffy the best. Look, Josh has denied all this. It is what it is, but I got to say I'm not a fan of stuff I read. It does seem like Joss definitely he had some dark stuff he's got to deal with, and he still really hasn't taken accountability in my mind, which is sad.
It's creepy
because I like a lot of his work.
I like his work too.
But and dude, he wrote Toy Story, like, in Speed. Like, dude has an amazing filmography and career. I'm always gonna like his work. He hasn't been charged with a crime. Subsequent charge that top executives. Sorry, that's my USB. Fisher's that top executives participated in blatantly. Here's what he said. Executives participated in blatantly racist conversations surrounding the film, according to people who had been in the room. Again, nothing that Ray heard.
But not him.
Hearsay that Ray heard from others. Yeah. An external investigation conducted by Catherine Forrest of the law firm Craith, Swain, and Moore concluded in December, which Ray participated in and gave everything to. He wanted this. Give the third-party investigation. He had it. They found no credible support that there was racial animus at Warner Brothers and cleared Berg, Johns, and Emmerich of such charges. It was over. Done. Ray wouldn't accept
and thousands of dollars.
Ray wouldn't accept it.
Independent investigation by former federal judges, and he still wouldn't accept it. He was still talking. Ladies and gentlemen, you understand how deranged he is? A former federal judge oversaw a case of an investigation that Warner Media spent tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to investigate, came up with nothing, and he is still saying that they're wrong.
It was all rigged. Oh, they blah 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 blah. They're lying. They're covering it up.
Whoever hires Ray Fisher needs to be out of Hollywood, and nobody has hired him.
Well, I mean, he's in the new Zack Snyder movie on Netflix coming up. Get ready.
Your guy, yeah. Besides your Lord, your Sith Lord.
Your Sith
stick
Lord.
to him like glue.
But here we had a guy who's out there with no evidence, now found no support, credible evidence from a third party, which is what he demanded, guys. He demanded it, and still not enough. Then he started turning on the reporter, the judge, saying it was all bullshit. They were lying. They tricked me, blah, blah, blah. They're working for Warner Brothers. And yet still hasn't provided a single example of something or proof of what happened. I'm still confused, Jody. What happened? I don't even know. Same month the battle.
I'm still waiting to find out.
Yeah, we're never going to know. That same month the battle was brewing between Snyder and Walter Hamada. Walter Hamada, you'll remember, Johnny Depp audience, you'll remember, was the one who was deposed and spoke about Amber not being fired from Aquaman. He was basically, he didn't want the Martian Manhunter character in. Walter Hamada fought back, and he demanded the footage not be used. He had other plans for Martian Manhunter and didn't want him wasted in 2 random scenes. Amen to Walter Hamada. I like him more and more every day. Sources say Snyder threatened to delete other footage if he didn't get his way. Snyder denies this and adds that he had no ability to do so. I think you do. It's the Snyder Cut that you've just rallied the fans for, and you have an army you constantly keep reminding them, well, they're not letting me do this, they're not letting me do that. Yeah, of course you could have done that. What do you mean you had no ability to? So anyway, after that happened, Fisher then turned up the dial on Twitter, taking a direct aim at Hamada, calling him the most dangerous kind of enabler.
Bro, that doesn't even sound right. The most dangerous kind of enabler. What does that mean? Is John Berg, Jeff Johns were the enablers. Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns were enabling. And now I'm watching Hamada. He's the most dangerous kind of enabler. Do you know why that is? And you said it in this paragraph yourself. Walter Hamada and Zack had a butting of heads. There was a little butting of heads because Hamada didn't want to blow Martian Manhunter for 2 scenes. Shortly after that, Ray Fisher adds you to a tweet. Walter Hamada is the most dangerous kind of enabler. Every time Zack has beef with an executive at Warner Brothers, Ye Fisher, his puppet, comes out and destroys them, quote, quote, on social media. It's lining up perfectly here. Oh, now Hamada and Zach have problems? Hey, yo, Ray, put this out there, man. Tell them that add Hamada to the list, bro. Put one of your A over E tweets out there for me, man. And sure enough, it comes out like clockwork. It's insane.
My thing got muted. Yeah, no, all like clockwork. And so every time Zach's making these threats by the sources in the article, Ray immediately follows suit and tries to do it. So then he started taking aim at Hamada. In February, they actually came out and released another statement saying they absolved Hamada of any wrongdoing. Warner Brothers also released a statement noting that Hamada was at a different Warner Brothers subsidiary when the Justice League was released, meaning like he wasn't even there during the show. Like, why do you keep bringing him into this?
He had no power. Yeah,
he wasn't part of it. But they're mad at him because he was trying to cut the cut. So Ray was trying to incorporate into his very general, vague accusations. So the army could go attack. Fans posted such indecent images as Hamada and Cernoff as fighting for the removal of unauthorized footage, Photoshop wearing the triple K robes. That's how bad it got. And then if you defended these executives, you were also deemed an ist. And how dare you support these people? You're awful, Andy. Of course you would, Andy. You're with your past, of course. They would just amp up any accusation to sort of, because they got no proof, they would just scream louder. In a move that dismayed studio insiders, Jason Kilar overruled Sarnoff and allowed Martian Manhunter to appear in the Snyder Cut. Oh, yikes. I hate this guy. Despise this guy.
Kilar's so trash.
He's so trash. I'm so glad he got pushed out. He got the worst push out ever. The director
was making the right moves, and he was overlapping her at every single turn.
They then gave him another $13 million for production costs. That at this point, Kilar's like, whatever, I don't give a shit anymore. I'm just going to spend all the money and just put all the movies on streaming. F Warner Brothers Studio. I don't care anymore. I'm Jason Kilar. I know how the internet works. You didn't even know the fans were toxic. You knew nothing, you clueless weirdo.
That's why you're out of here, bro. $100 million is where we're at. $100 million added to a film that a budget was $300 million and only brought in $653 million. So we're talking about a $400 million budgeted movie that came out years back and is getting re-released years later. What a total waste of money. All this from release the Snyder Cut and buying bots.
He was an executive at Hulu. Because he did that, he got sort of carte blanche expert in the streaming world. He then made a thing called Vessel, which just completely bombed. He was trying to make like a competitor to YouTube that just never took off, wasted more money, but then tricked investors to sort of just buy it. I'm not a fan of this guy. He's got a lot of money, so go live on an island with your money and move on. Take the L. So anyway, he ended up spending, before marketing costs, Snyder Cut, the cut of the $100 million of a movie that already bombed. $73 million while people were losing their jobs at the studio for a director's cut of a film that already lost hundreds of millions, noted an insider. That's amazingly well said. So during the pandemic, Warner Brothers chose to spend $73 million with marketing costs more than $100 million while people were all losing their jobs at the studios because of the pandemic, just for this dumb director's cut. That already lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Studio never would have released my version unless it made financial business sense for them. Bullshit. You duped them.
Right.
You duped them by making the fan base look more organic and real than it was.
Yeah, you created the release of Snyder Cut. You bullied people. You attacked people. You made the movement seem bigger than it, 10 times bigger than it was, thinking that they were going to be rewarded for actually delivering this, when in actuality, once we saw those numbers, we saw those HBO Max numbers, and you were an afterthought. That Zack Snyder's Justice League wasn't even top 3 on the HBO streaming for that year.
No, you did not make the money back. You did not make the money back. Those who only thought the Snyderverse mob would move on, they were mistaken. In early 2021, Fisher attacked Warner Brothers' then global communications head, Joanna Fuentes, for some unspecified role in the Kareth investigation. Because when it became that there was the finding wasn't helpful for him, he went after her. She wrote a simple story written by this reporter. Here it is. the Tatiana's going to call it out. Welcome, Lewis. What's up, Lewis?
Hey, what's up, man?
The
You guys hear
reporters,
me okay?
bro?
Yep.
Yeah, we hear you.
man. Good to see you,
Yeah,
man.
hey, I came a little late because I'm just enjoying the Jody and Andy action here, man. This is like
This is
YouTube's
fire.
finest, man.
The
right
Trinity
here.
is back. No, I'm happy to have you always, man. But let's keep going, trucking through. We're almost at the bottom. Simple story written by this reporter about Kiersey Clemens being cast for The Flash also incurred the wrath of the collective just days before the Snyder Cut release in March. Snyder called to say
you should use this.
who's on something other. Snyder called to say he wanted several sentences from the story removed. I'm just telling you. Listen to this. So this is the author of the article.
Oh yeah, I forgot this
Exposing
part.
Zack and his tactics when he tried to tell her to remove it. So Zack emails her asking for things to be removed. I'm just telling you what the fans are going to do. Trust me, they are pretty rough. He warned. The sentences stayed and the Snyderverse throng descended.
Bro.
This is so telling. So he's not denying this because he wrote the email to her trying to demand she change the article. This is the hubris of that guy. And he's admitting he's well aware that his audience can get. I'm just telling you what the audience is going to do if you don't correct my
Barking
shit.
dogs.
They are going to be really rough at you, Tatiana. It's like
That's a threat. That's a threat. That's when they threaten you without threatening you. Yo, if you can't remove this, I can't really guarantee what's going to happen to you after that. I can't really guarantee that, the fans aren't going to like it. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I can't even control them, but I couldn't say that it'll be pretty rough because that's how they are. So do you mind removing and editing that for me? That is some scary, evil Sith Lord tactics right there, bruh. That's
super
him
evil.
knowing that he has a mob, a cult, that he could at any time, any place, sick on you. I will sick them on you. And I've always said it. Like, I feel like Zack Snyder's sending fools at me, bro. Like with the hate, I feel like he's just like, it's gonna get bad. And we felt the hate, but this is exactly the type of man he is. I got a toxic army. If you don't conform, I will sick them on you. It's bully tactics, bro. And
No, it's accountability over entertainment, Jody. I want accountability for me and not what I believe in. It's unbelievable. This is, and they're still defending this man. Anyway,
how could you defend that?
I don't know how you defend this. And notice, no denial from Zack. So you can try to spin it all you want. Film junkie, everybody else out there trying to just shrug this away. I don't know how you deny this one because he didn't deny it. He
Trash
didn't
guy
deny
that wears
it.
comic book shirts with blazers on top, sits in a freaking corner talking about movies like a pimple-faced weirdo, bro. Y'all are weird capping for this. The same guy that was sitting on a sidewalk and couldn't get in the Justice League. I remember this fool, bro. I went to Justice League red carpet because I was invited by like the directors and stuff. And he's out there trying to get in. I met a guy and I'm trying to get in. This fool was on the sidewalk eating a sandwich, trying to get into the Justice League premiere, bro. I'm on the inside about to go watch this movie, and he's outside with a store-bought gas station sandwich, and you couldn't get into the Justice League premiere because you're a square. And you ain't
It's unbelievable. And honestly, this looks more abusive to me than Joss Whedon, or as much so as, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, this isn't okay. Joss threatened Gal, but now you're gonna threaten Tatiana. Like, what's going on here, Zach?
Yeah, same thing.
I'm just telling you, if you don't report it, it's gonna get pretty rough for you. Like, that's gross. That's gross, and it's exactly what we were standing up against, these bullies, and Zack is the biggest bully of them all. He just proved. He wants no blood in his hands, but time's up, dude. You're caught. So you and Ray, you get your simps to do whatever you want. When that Netflix movie of yours bombs, you think they're going to want to keep funding you? And then who's going to fund you? Then it's back to nowhere, because what studio on earth in this new world we live in is going to want to deal with your toxic fandom? You guys are digging your own grave, Zack. This is not the way. Take accountability. It is what the irony here. Take some accountability, Zack. It's not about your dumb movies at this point. There's a wrath of vengeance here. It's too much. You're looking mighty like Lex Luthor here. After the fan opened, random bystanders continue to be hit by the Snyderverse. This is shocking to me. This is where it gets even grosser. Adam Wingard's Godzilla vs. Kong, which I enjoyed. Dumb, fun Godzilla movie was what I wanted. Sources say the director asked Snyder through an intermediary to tell his fans to stop review bombing the film. Snyder refused. Snyder says he was never asked to have his fans stand down, adding, "Furthermore, I do not control my fans. They have their own will and their own opinions. You really give me too much credit." Huh. Weird. Well, you seem to know up here how rough they could get. So why don't you try to wane them in? Oh, because you can't control them. Okay, but you just go. You do what they ask or deal with the wrath. What can I do? I'm Zack Snyder. My fans are intense. They have their own will.
This fool could ask them to deliver a vanilla ice cream single cone across the desert, butt naked, and make sure it don't melt. And he'll actually get people that try to do it.
Yeah.
Bro, he's got that much control over his cult. It's insane.
It's a cult, which we called it. I remember we coined that cult during our lives, and it was.
Yes.
And I got a lot of flack for it, but no, that was a cult that he has at Jody's repping on that shirt. Another source say Warner Brothers successfully lobbied IMDb, which includes user reviews, to weed out the trolls targeting it. The director declined to comment. Similarly, factions of the Snyderverse review bombed James Gunn for months. The director acknowledged the mob on Twitter. I'll live. Stuff like this means nothing in the big picture. And important to point out, most of the Snyder Cut fans have been supportive, it's only a few who feel it's worthwhile spending their time doing stuff like this. Ultimately, both films outperformed Snyder Cut on HBO Max. But again, here's his attempt when James Gunn, who's should be, they're friends. And James Gunn's getting, they've done Dawn of the Dead together. And his response is, I'll live. Whatever. This is not, there's a bigger picture. It's only a few of these stupid things. I'm sure that it stressed out James Gunn. I'm sure he didn't like it. Why wouldn't you just support James? But guys, it's so easy to be like, guys, I know you're excited, but leave James Gunn. I'm supportive of his film. It's amazing. There's apparently some of you are review bombing. Please don't do that. Thank you so much for the support. That's not hard to do. You can't, it's impossible for you to do a statement like that to support James Gunn and his movie in the DC world. No, you wanted chaos. You wanted vengeance. You didn't give a shit about civility.
Facts.
Year after the film's release, Snyder is no longer working with Warner Brothers. He's moved on to Netflix, where he's currently shooting Rebel Moon, an ambitious 2-part movie. Fisher is playing a resistance fighter named Blood Axe. Oh, I can't wait to see how that film is. Studios' plans for the DC no longer involve Snyder. He did finally return the confiscated materials. Following a settlement that was reached with the studio in August of 2021. Snyderverse Army often calls a number of heads to roll. Hamada appears safe given Batman. Johns continues to do CW Stargirl. So some of these people are fine, but a lot of people didn't survive. Kalar, Sarnoff, Emmerich, Fuentes. Although Warner says it had nothing to do with the Snyderverse, it was just the takeover by Discovery. Which I believe, but a lot of Snyder fans are taking credit for their heads rolling, and it's like, you guys are sick. Some who witnessed the Snyderverse fan wrath privately lament that Warner didn't do a better job of protecting those affected. One called it the grossest example of mass indifference, as executives were left hung out to dry, but those measures likely would have done nothing to stop the onslaught of social media's vicious community. For his part, Snyder says, as an artist, it was fulfilling to be able to finally see my vision realized after such a difficult time in my life, and for it to be so well received. I am grateful to both the fan community and Warner Brothers for allowing this to happen. To dwell on negativity and rumors serves no one. Referencing various charitable causes to which the Snyder Army has donated, he adds, if this is indeed a balanced article, I hope that all the good work the fandom has done is being representative. They constantly want to use the charity stuff they've done as shields to deflect and ignore all the negative, which Zack again has done numerous times. Regardless of whether the behind-the-scenes manipulation, the Snyderverse, for want to whose firm spots and analyzes an authentic online activity, the phenomenon offers a blueprint of how to weaponize a fan base. That's my concern with the manipulation that's happening inside these movements relative to bots. You can drive the court of public opinion. It needs to be dealt with because it's going to get worse before it gets better. And it can get worse. Now we're going to get into how this affects the Amber Johnny move and one Christopher Boozy. Before we get there, though, I want to get thoughts from either you guys quick. Jody, this article, it is sweet revenge in a way, justice for us and so many who dealt with the wrath of this disgusting army, this cult. How do you feel to finally see a lot of this get proven?
it's almost is like a weight lifted off my shoulders, but because we've like moved on from it, it's not. I want to go as far as saying a weight lifted off. I'm happy, I'm elated that other people are able, on a massive scale, are able to see the truth, a truth that 2 years ago wasn't big, but it was definitely real for us when we were making videos about it, getting that concentrated hate. But now knowing that it's out there for everybody to see, it's spreading awareness and it exposes motherfuckers, bro. Zack Snyder looks exactly how I thought he was, a manipulative, like arrogant, egotistical, straight up savage. And Ray looking like the puppet that he is, an actual being puppeteered. You might as well just bend over and let Zack put the hand up your back. I mean, all these lies, all this deceit, it just feels good. And it's relieving to know that we fought him, we won, we got through it, we got better. And now here we are a year later or so, looking back like, yeah, we told you so.
I love this too, like responding, because again, I don't know if you saw this, but Ray got caught again because they did email him. But then he's like, you changed the deadline. They literally just, it was clear like a typo of tomorrow at 6, and they said tomorrow at 5. So then suddenly, I guess that stopped him from commenting, as even some of the comments are, cool, Ray, then comment now, because you seem to still not be talking about or going into depth about what actually happened. And I'm not seeing tweets about Ezra or Moses Ingram. So accountability entertainment doesn't seem to be about anything but you and backing your precious Snyder. Exactly. And it's nice to see, plenty here.
Because of this article. This
Yeah.
article helped wake people up. Like, wow. Like, it's plain as day, man. You see this, there's no other way to go but the way of logic. And they've been exposed.
Before I go to the other part of it, Lewis, any quick thought?
Yeah, man. Well, luckily people, I said this a while back, man. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts here. People ignored the fact that Amber was called for reshoots. People forgot that in the court. Zack, you brought it up earlier. Zack hired her and hired them, Ezra Miller as well. So there's a lot of toxic behavior here, and there's no accountability over entertainment like's been preached here so many times, unless it's, not convenient for Ye Fisher. Very disappointing. I'm very upset, more than you think, Andy, because I wanted to see Superman come back to the screen. I wanted to see the DC characters that I love more than anything.
I think you're going to get him now. I think Warner Discovery, I think, is going to actually, that's their MO. They want to turn the heroes back to what you want, Lewis.
Well, they've been saying that for a while. I want to see it done. I don't want.
They just got the keys, dude.
Okay, listen. Superman's my favorite character. Hope and optimism is what made him.
Let's have the hope, right?
Yeah. But I also shared with you a link there that maybe later when Jody comes in, this is
He's coming back, Lewis.
Hey, okay, so this is proof right here that there was no Snyder Cut, because people forgot. Yeah. I run Nuke the Fridge. We're running news reports all the time. I send you the link on the thing. The haters of Batman versus Superman were invited in 2016 to the set of Justice League. One of the haters here, Devin, was there. He didn't ever like the tone of the Zack Snyder Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel. The depressing emo Superman. So
look who took the picture.
Zack Snyder showed them that I'm making a Marvel type Justice League movie. Zack Snyder was trying to make the movie that Joss Whedon made. This is proof that what we got, as far as the Snyder Cut's concerned, what got released is not Zack Snyder's original plan. This was right here, 2016. Everybody, all the show medias got invited to the studio where every picture released was Batman smiling, Superman smiling,
yep,
Wonder Woman smiling. Everything was happy.
Just like when Ray Fisher was at Comic-Con, Lewis, saying, "Oh, Joss Whedon was great. The movie's going to be amazing."
Correct.
Remember that too?
This is pre Joss Whedon right here. They visited the set while Zack was still working on it. Now, Zack was going for that Marvel feel, and then the tragedy happened in his family much later. But he was never trying to make the movie that was released on HBO Max. Now you could like trick yourself if you're a cultist and think, no, these articles are everywhere. This is just one. There's one on, Slash Film and all the other ones. Zack Snyder, after Batman versus Superman, was trying to make Justice League a Marvel type happy.
And now he's spinning it. Is really
movie.
he's spinning it and he's lying.
And then we got he got $90 million to redo it and make it into the emo one we got with the Snyder Cut. Hey, if you like it, cool. If you're not, but there was no Snyder Cut. I still stand with that. There's no Snyder Cut until you get handed $90 million to complete the Snyder Cut. When something's not completed, it doesn't exist. Now you could turn that around all you want. Jody, right now, he shaved his hair. Does he have a full set of hair on his head? No. When it grows out, there will be one. So that's kind of an analogy right there. So there was no Snyder Cut, goddammit, until you give $90 million, then there was a Snyder Cut.
Yeah, and then it was also
I don't know what's so difficult to understand about that.
This whole thing is a mess, and exactly why did you need to edit it more? But let's not. Whatever. Yes, pointed. He's right. There was a lot he's been misleading, and it all comes down to it. The bottom line is Zack is not being honest, and he's getting caught. And karma always gets you when you're sneaky. I've learned it. Everybody learns it, and it's and I'm telling you, Netflix is going to figure it out. I don't think this is going to do as well as he hopes. I hope I'm wrong. Like, I want to see good movies. Please prove me wrong. But I don't know. He's had
one more thing.
He's not made a lot of good movies of recent. It's true, and I know some of you were like, Andy, the Justice League cut's better. Great, I'm glad you liked it. It's not one of the best superhero films ever. It's just it's better. Okay, fine. I will give you that. It's better.
Give you that.
But my God, it's not a movie I'm going to watch again and be like, oh my God, I need to watch that again. And I know I speak for a lot of people there. Yeah, quickly, Lewis. I want to go to the other story, Lewis. Hurry up.
Okay, the cultist, the Zack Snyder only people. Listen, that movie Army of the Dead was a bad remake of Aliens. It had the exact same characters, the exact same plot line. The reason you guys don't know that is because you guys don't watch movies.
Facts.
Educate yourselves about movies first, and you would have realized that Army of the Dead is an Aliens remake. They have the Hispanic tough lady. They have the guy going, that's going to commit treason with the company. Love you, Andy. Continue with the story.
I just don't want to get too drowning in the movie. I know you want to talk movies. Go to Nerd Report. You'll talk about your movies there. I want to talk about this portion, which I've been putting off for an hour and a half, and I don't want to. It's been an hour and 40 minutes, so I'm just trying to get to it, Lewis. Sorry. So here's what I do want to address this, as I talked about it and teased it at the beginning. So this guy is part of Amber's bot farm, and I think it's important because, again, this is him responding to the whole thing we just went through, right? Legitimizing the report by Tatiana saying it's there. Now, I don't believe this guy at all because he's a swindler from what I'm gathering, the way he interacted with me. But I responded to him, okay? I said, he did this Bot Sentinel report that here it is. Targeted trolling and trend manipulation, how organized attacks on Amber and other women thrive on Twitter. And his findings, etc. Which, so anyway, are you going to look into Amber Heard's own bots? Because we're talking about bots here, right? And the manipulation and stuff. Who's real? As he says, it's hard to tell what's real or fake. Are you going to look into Amber Heard's own bots too? Many, Tatiana and herself included, as I referenced this article she wrote, proved Amber had more bots. So I wrote that more bots than Johnny Depp. What about their disgusting threats and tactics? I asked, right? Did you do research against her too, or only for her, since she was previously a client? Is what I asked him. Okay. So then he, hold on, I gotta go back because the way he. Did
he do the research against her as well, or is
what he does is he does here's another tactic I'm going to expose. He quote tweets me, because when he here I am on another person's thread, right, talking about this to Tatiana's thread that or I guess one of his, he quote tweets it, so that way it's really hard to actually follow the back and forth, because then I got to go click and then I reply. When you reply to a quote tweet, which you want to do, then he's just going to ignore it and then do another one, and then it's like it's taking you to his place so he can control the narrative. The whole thread, yeah. And then you're going to see me try to attempt to give you the conversation, because I can't, because he's going to keep quote tweeting me. So then I got to go find his response to it, and then he missed some of my other responses because he's singling out only ones he wants to reply to. It's a really frustrating and shady tactic that disruptors use. So if you're in a fight with somebody on Twitter and they won't just reply, Because the truth is, you can reply and retweet your reply, right? And then it pops up in your feed, and people can follow.
Right.
And then they can go follow the whole conversation, and have a good way to do it.
Better that way.
It's way better that way. But no, you're gonna see this. So pardon me as I try to gather the back and forth. This report isn't about bots. It's about abusive trolls targeting women and manipulating trends. So I'm not sure why you were tweeting at me about bots when the report isn't about bots. How about you read the report first, or did we not include enough pictures for you? This guy's already coming at me hard when I'm literally just asking him legitimately, you work for Amber, there's clear bias. This is in the report yourself, dude. You have a whole disclaimer here that admits, there's some potential bias here. I think you want to respond to the bias. And then I don't even see my reply isn't even showing up here. So yeah, it's already. So is this a no then? Why so aggressive? You are a bot firm and brought up bots, which he did. I showed you the thread. But okay, let's remove bots. Are you going to look into Amber Heard and her fans being abusive to women and men? What about Amber Heard and her fans manipulating trends? Did my pictures not suffice? And so then there's no reply there. So now I got to go over to his and scroll back down.
Find him.
Find it again because he won't just reply ever. Here it is. Why so aggressive? Not only you didn't read the report, I did. You would have seen the video. I just done your homework there, Boozy. But apparently you don't read your own tweet. We didn't find hundreds of pro-Amber trolls attacking women. We didn't find hundreds of pro-Amber trolls swarming tweets. You were comparing kites to jet planes. So he's acknowledging the report. He's just saying it's not big enough from Amber's side, I guess, to warrant a report. He's saying, I guess, Johnny, the way I read this, he's finding way more attacks against Amber fans because Johnny is more popular. So therefore, that means more. And now again, I can't find my proper response here. The tweet I responded to had to do with you discussing Snyder bots. Did you forget? It was interesting given that Tatiana on reporting saw Amber had way more bots, hence the bots. I did read your report, made a video. Are you just an aggressive, judgmental person in general? Also, don't think I didn't notice you quote tweet reply tactic, which is a clear attempt to avoid the clear back and forth and allows you to control your narrative on your timeline. Are you capable of a civil conversation here or not? No, he's not. Because again, he's not going to respond to me here. At that point, I started quote tweeting him to sort of just try to come back. So then he picks this one. The research firm that looked at Amber's bots didn't publish a list of the accounts. We did. We also provide the tweets to CBS and other outlets and can't comment on other firms' findings, but I can comment on ours. The abuse and trend manipulation from trolls was lopsided. And so then I responded here. Hence why I brought up bots, which you immediately use as a way to take a shot at my intelligence. Can we start over then? Hi, will you report on the clear abuse online from Amber Heard fans towards women and men? Or do you only report when it's more abuse? Is what I'm trying to really hammer down on this guy, right? And then I wrote a tweet, which then he selected instead. Yikes. So Boozy is admitting to abuse from Amber fans, but ignores because it's not big enough. He also keeps quote tweeting every reply in an attempt to control and make it impossible for fans to follow our civil back and forth, which I'm trying to show you to my best abilities. He then responds, no, Andy, I'm quote tweeting you because I want my followers to see whataboutism in action from a male who is trying to compare a handful of tweets to systematic abuse, misogyny, and targeted harassment. If you believe your first tweet was civil, I would hate to see you uncivil.
Oh,
just open your mouth a little bit, Jody.
Like this is what we call simps.
To hear another man talk like that makes me. Men shouldn't
and then
talk
I
this
said,
way, bro.
then use the retweet button. And I love how you just went from hundreds to a handful. You're clearly being sneaky, Christopher. Bad trait to have when you're presenting data. Data doesn't lie. Just because Johnny is more famous doesn't mean Amber fan abuse should be negated. And so then I haven't seen the latest. He retweeted himself for more engagement. I just can't. What are you doing, dude? So your response.
What the freak? That's what you've been doing this whole conversation.
Your response is to call out my retweets so fans who want to hear our back and forth, because we both have fans, I imagine, that want to hear our discourse. But now because I retweeted mine, I'm the one seeking engagement, but your quote tweets aren't? Got it, Christopher. Cool. There's no way Andy Signore understood a 13 underwire report when he is having difficulty comprehending my 280 character tweets. We must invest in more education if we are to survive. Wow, Just wow. So here he is now, just completely just. Sorry, Andy. I will. So then I offered him to come on the show, which I DM'd him privately as well. Sorry, Andy. I will have to pass. I have an interview in 30 minutes on a real network. Tell me how the views are over on that network, Christopher.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. Let us know.
So ask him to come again another day. Keep asking him.
Here's Captain Barge cozying up to see Boozy. What a surprise, guys! Are you telling me they all work together? The reporter that tricked me is up cozy with that, now doing pro Evan Rachel Wood stuff. Interesting how it's all connected.
Is he talking about going to the real networks, the same places that are upset that YouTubers are outshining them and getting more money?
Yeah, I mean, should I even respond at this point? I feel like I've responded here enough, but here he is trying to.
If it's me,
is this about engagement? What would you like me to do, Jody?
If it's me, I see this guy's a joke, and I'm just letting it go at this point. Like,
yeah,
you know, he's clearly just up for the flair of how he looks online, not about what he's actually saying and trying to see you face to face on camera. He'll never try to see you face to face and have a discussion. He'll play these Twitter games and these retweet games in order to look a certain way on the internet, bro. He's playing the social media Twitter game, and he's a waste of time, in my opinion. I wouldn't even mess with it no more.
Well, I can't help myself, so I will make it very clear to at least reply. We don't have to retweet this one, but well then, sounds like
see me anytime on camera.
You're incapable of any civil discourse, or afraid of it.
You rather just Twitter beef?
We summed up best as we could. We summed this all up best as we could to our 5,000 watching. I'll let them know you're afraid to come on and share your side of things. Best of luck
on your real network.
With that real network. I tried to end this earlier, but I saw we were $49 away from our goal on GoFundMe, so I gave them 5 more minutes. And my God, they blew it out of the water, Lewis. We already had 3,323. That's well over our goal. Can we get it to 4K? 4K for us to go to 4K cameras. Oh my God, the haters will go mad. They fueled me to sort of prove it to that you guys want this. This isn't about us. It's about you getting invested in our studio, in our future. Thank you guys for helping step up and show the world how much you appreciate what we're doing here. I appreciate you so much. I promise we got so much more coming. In fact, if you missed the full show, hit that join button, become a member, become a Planeteer, and pick a level. You'll be able to watch it. You'll also be able to get information on the studio. Go to the members only playlist and watch the studio tour. You'll get the updates before everybody else of what's coming. And thanks to everybody who stepped up and helped. If you bought an item or you spent a lot of money and you want a sticker, I want to give you guys back. Hit me up on Telegram at Andy Signore. Join our Popcorn Planet group. All the links are on my link tree, which is in the description. I'll put a pinned comment as well. Go click over there, support however you can, or watch the content. You guys are amazing, and thank you for supporting my man Lewis over at Nerd Report as well. Steph the Alternate and my man Jody's Corner. Please follow them all if you can. We'll be back tomorrow with more. And thank you guys so much for taking this to the next level. Let's get it. We're upgrading to 4K cameras. How nice to take it over and get it to 4K total. That would be such sweet, amazing irony. Thanks to everybody who donated and supported. You guys are amazing. I love you all. We'll be back with more content soon here on Popcorn Planet. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.